As Lu Fan looked back, the air stood still for a moment. Suddenly, the silence turned into a scream. A bright glowing shadow rushed towards him. It was a dagger that emerged from the unknown darkness, like the deadly call of a hidden enemy. Lu Fan's eyes widened, but his body reacted instinctively like a seasoned warrior. In an instant, he rolled to one side, and the dagger whizzed past his cheek. His breathing became rapid, but his face remained calm. Without wasting a moment, he took out the mysterious bow from his inventory, the dark bow. This was no ordinary weapon. The most special thing about the dark bow was, without drawing the arrow, it could make 12 magical strikes. Each strike would bring the enemy 20% closer to death. This was not just a weapon, but a warning. Anyone who clashed with Lu Fan would find themselves at the gates of death. As Lu Fan already knew, this land was not ordinary. The very air here hid a mystery, the scent of an old, forgotten magic. As if some unknown force was warning him, he held his bow dark tightly and let out a magical strike. The arrow ripped through the air, and the next moment a loud explosion resounded. The ground shook, the surrounding grass burned, and a thick layer of smoke spread all around. The explosion was followed by silence. But then, something moved in that thick curtain of smoke. A figure slowly began to emerge. It looked neither human nor demon. Its shape was blurry, but its presence was so heavy that the air seemed to still. As the figure became clear from within the mist, a shuddering energy reverberated through the air. Suddenly, a demon appeared from the womb of the smoke. Its presence was so terrifying that the ground trembled. Lu Fan's eyes immediately flashed with warning. This was no ordinary creature. He recognized it, the Shadow Swordsman. It was a high-level demon, level 80. Its entire body was covered in black mist, as if night had taken form. Its movements were slow but firm, as if every step left a shadow of death behind it. Lu Fan sensed its main power, the shadow attack. The Shadow Swordsman gathered its shadow energy into a ball of black mist, and a moment later, the ball transformed into a solid entity behind each target and attacked. This attack dealt 2% physical damage, but the most deadly thing about it was sudden and unmistakable. The second power was Barrier of the Dead. As soon as it was activated, a black aura spread around the Shadow Swordsman's body. For 5 seconds, this shadow shield protected him from every physical blow, reducing the total damage taken by 10%. This time was enough for him to launch a deadly counterattack. And then, his final and most terrifying skill, Resonance. Like a suicide bombing, he releases all the shadow energy within him. Everything within a radius of 10 meters burns up in a black explosion, inflicting 300% shadow damage. This power was so devastating that the slightest mistake, and death was certain. Lu Fan hadn't fully comprehended the Shadow Swordsman's presence yet when a heavy, but concerned voice resounded from behind. "Brother." It was Andre. As soon as he saw the figure of the demon, his face hardened and he immediately rushed to Lu Fan's side. His breathing was heavy and his eyes reflected the pain of his past experiences. "Brother Lu Fan, be very careful of him," Andre said, his voice full of both fear and warning. "The last time we came to this area, this demon caused us serious damage. Many of our comrades were injured. Some couldn't even return." Both Lu Fan and senior sister's faces hardened. Andre continued, "He can block up to 70% of any type of attack, blade arrow or magic. And the most dangerous thing is, he mysteriously disappears in the black fog. At any moment, he can reappear out of nowhere, as if death had silently knocked on the door." There was a deep silence. The air felt heavier now, but the deadly silence was broken by senior sister's voice. She was silent for a moment, then a different gleam appeared in her eyes. The kind of a warrior who does not fear danger, but enjoys it. She stepped forward, and her simple dress changed into her SAS fighter uniform in the blink of an eye, dark red with streams of flame flowing out. She gave a bright smile, one that was not beauty, but fire and challenge. "Oh, so this is the creature that is so powerful," but her voice was cold, but it also contained a burning challenge. And at that moment, a fierce as burning spear appeared in her palm. Its metal blade was red, its tip glowing with fire. A fiery flame spread around it. The dry grass on the ground began to burn, and the air became hot. She slowly started walking towards the Shadow Swordsman. The ground burned with every step she took. She looked as dangerous as she was beautiful, as if the goddess of fire herself had descended upon the battlefield. "Okay," she said as she walked away, her words laced with sharp sarcasm. I want to see for myself, is it really that easy? And can it handle my moves? Her spear was now fully prepared, engulfed in flames, and her face was that of a pure warrior. The fire of battle had burned away. At that moment, senior sister rises up in the air at lightning speed, waving in her eyes with a steady fire burning. She charges straight at the demon. The next moment, her spear turns into a blazing flame, and with a ferocious strike she cuts the demon in half. The flames of her sword billow in the air as if struck by the fire god himself. The demon's body falls down, breaking in two, and a circular wall of fire forms around it, as if senior sister's very presence is summoning the fire. She stands still in the air, calm yet terrifying. Her weapon mysteriously changes shape, sometimes a spear, sometimes a magic staff, but she maintains the same form without hesitation, as if every change is linked to her will. But then senior sister frowns. Standing still in the air, she feels something strange moving behind her, as if countless eyes are piercing her back. Dozens of eyes glow from within the darkness. Red, yellow, black. They are not just watching, they seem to be piercing her soul. Big sister, be careful. Andra's voice screams from a distance, as if from a nightmare. These monsters don't come alone, they always come in packs. Senior sister turns, but the shadows are moving toward her from all sides. They stick to us like ghosts. Andra continues, his voice trembling. Once they catch hold of us, they don't let go, and one of them always represents the rest. Dancing, grimacing, dissolving into our memories. The shadows of old defeats are reflected in her eyes. I remember, the last time we set foot in the Shadow Islands, we were defeated by one of these. He knew our every move, knew every weakness. The air grows heavy, and senior sister's fingers tighten around the hilt of the spear. Andre's voice is heavy and hoarse now, as if every word is blood seeping out of his chest. The last time, when we fought them, he says softly, I lost most of my brothers. They were all better than me, braver than me. And we even had a rank 4 warrior with us? His throat chokes. He was killed, too. We had no choice, he says softly. We had to retreat in disgrace. Saving lives was our only victory that day. Lu Fan, who had been listening silently until now, suddenly speaks up, his eyes filled with disbelief and uneasiness. Even with the strength of rank 4, he asks, were they not safe? Andre's eyes slowly lift to Lu Fan's tired, dull eyes that held more silence than any answer. This place doesn't see strength, he barely whispers. It sniffs out fear, it rips at the soul. Lu Fan listened intently to everything Andre said. There was no fear on his face, instead, a slight smile appeared. And where? He said calmly. Don't worry this time. This time it's different. His words floated in the air, as if predicting some invisible change. Then, without wasting a moment, he looked at Xiafei and signaled with his head. Now, he said, summon the holy dragon. Xiafei immediately fluttered in the air at his command. His flute, dragon bone flute, the air suddenly became heavy. And then, a light burst out from the shadows of the fallen bodies. The holy dragon appeared. Its eyes glowed with ancient fire, and divine rays emanated from its body. Its every breath seemed to shake the ground. This is the same fallen corpse holy dragon, whose power is always equal to the level of its summoner. Andre's eyes widened in surprise. He almost stopped breathing. A dragon, and it is also summoning another dragon. His comprehension was halted. And then, Lu Fan drew his sword, his blade created a dazzling effect in the air. Without hesitation, he took support from the sacred dragon's wings and flew into the air, as if he had come from the sky to challenge a battle. From above, he called out, Xiafei, now, release the emerald light and emerald blessing. Xiafei's green glowing energy spread out like waves, and a mysterious symbol appeared in the sky. Emerald light, emerald blessing. This blessing was no ordinary one. 3 to 6 layers of dragon aura power surrounded the target, which caused each attack to deal 36 times more damage. The effect of old light provides the target with 3 to 6 layers of divine protection. Each layer burns away negative effects and increases each of the target's attributes by 30 to 60%. Each of these layers alone can absorb up to 12 times the damage inflicted, like an invisible shield of blessing. Lu Fan's eyes flashed with lightning. He didn't want to waste any more time. Dragon boost power, now, he commanded. The sacred dragon let out a loud roar. Its breath shook the air, and a golden glow spread all around. This boost power spread out like a tremendous energy, causing Lu Fan and all his dragon pets to suddenly glow with energy. All attributes, all attacks had increased by 30%, and then 2 more dragons appeared in the air from Xiaofei's flute. They roared loudly as they landed on the ground. One's roar was as fiery as fire. The other's roar was as heavy as a rock, splitting thunder. Fierce flames billowed around them, as if they were not just living beings, but the embodiment of ancient anger. Without any further prompting, they all charged forward together. Even in the chaos of battle, Lu Fan's gaze was steady. He looked at Andre. His wounds, tired eyes, and the pain hidden within were evident. Lu Fan spoke softly, his voice promising. "I know about your injuries, Andre. I will take care of them and avenge them." Andre was stunned for a moment. He couldn't say anything, but the gleam in his eyes spoke volumes. Andre frowned. "Hey brother," he said, "did you only bring 2 dragons? How are we going to deal with this group with 2 people? Lu Fan looked at him and smiled. That smile was no joke. He slowly stepped forward, swinging the tip of his sword in the air and said, "Only 2 dragons are enough to fight them." As the monsters drew closer, a fierce battle began. The breath of the sacred dragon created walls of fire. The dragons summoned by Xiaofei burned countless monsters to ashes with their flames. The earth shook, the sky turned red, screams and roars echoed everywhere. But in the midst of that hell, one figure stood still, surrounded by a purple aura. Its body was shrouded in mist. Its eyes were as black as the new moon. Lu Fan's gaze was fixed on it. He stepped back, lowered his sword slightly, and said slowly, "The battle continues, but the real danger is this." His voice became serious. "This is no ordinary battle. This is a secret battle." He turned to Xiaofei and Andre. "We'll have to be careful. This monster attacks in the dark. Its strength is not open battle, but shadows." Pointing to the purple monster, he said, "When its hook touches you, it silently sucks away your life force. And if you get hit by it, a part of your body could become permanently disabled." Lu Fan was still trying to understand the layers of danger when, char, a chain surrounded by a red aura suddenly leaped towards him like lightning. He couldn't understand its meaning, but its appearance was different, as if it bound the soul, not just the body. Just as he was about to react to it, another chain ripped through the air and moved towards Senior Sister. Lu Fan's face changed. Not for himself, but for her. He shouted without thinking, "Senior Sister, be more vigilant!" Senior Sister heard the shout, but there was no fear in her eyes, just a sharp confidence. She drew her bow and said in a cold voice, "Do you think I'll give up so easily?" And at that moment, she grabbed the chain with an arrow. A jerk, and the chain started to pull towards her. But Senior Sister didn't back down. She pulled with all her might, as if she were the hunter, not the prey, and the demon hiding in the shadows, who tried to play with the chains, was now forcibly dragged into the light. His face distorted, his purple aura breaking. Senior Sister rained down a barrage of blows on him. Arrows sharp, each one hitting the target. As she attacked, she said without looking at Lu Fan, "Lu Fan, do you really think he can beat me?" This time they messed with the wrong person. The demon threw the chains, his intention clear, to strangle Senior Sister and kill her. But he missed. Senior Sister didn't panic, changed direction in an instant, drew a circle on the ground with her magic arrow. And in an instant, flames rose up, surrounding the demon. The burning chains crackled. The demon's screams melted into the air, and he disappeared in a split second. Silence fell. Senior Sister stood, bow still in hand, breathing deeply. She said softly, "That was so easy." Her eyebrows furrowed slightly. She whispered, "Was it really my power? Or is it the dragon's influence?" She looked around. There was no sign of the demon. Her voice became even lower, as if she was saying to herself, "Or that monster is able to hide and has only just hidden. That's beyond my imagination." The monster had vanished into thin air, as if it had never existed. Senior Sister's eyes widened. Her breath suddenly stopped. For a moment, she was at a loss. Had she really destroyed the monster, or had it somehow cleverly made itself invisible? A wave of doubt rose within her. This was the moment where the line between trust and illusion blurred. But just then, a sharp realization struck her. If it was a level 85 elite monster, I should have combined at least 2 skills to kill it in one hit. And then she thinks of Xiaofei. I've seen her before, but when I saw her up close today, something changed. The dragon's achievement is no longer a matter of pride, it has become a miracle to us. Xiao Fei's skills, they are not ordinary. She suddenly raises her hand in excitement, her eyes shining. She turns to Lu Fan and says in a low but firm voice, "You must keep yourself out of the intrigues of those families in the West region." She pauses, then takes a breath and continues, "I will deal with them now. I need Xiao Fei for a few days, hand her over to me." There is no hesitation in her words, just a promise. I will single-handedly destroy Xiao Long's house. When Xiao Fei hears that Big Sister is asking to borrow her for a few days, her face turns pale. She turns around silently, then rushes towards Lu Fan and holds him tightly, like a child holding his father's hand in a storm. Her eyes are scared, innocent, and deep. "I don't want to go." She mumbles, her face pressed against Lu Fan's back. Lu Fan gently strokes her trembling back. The sadness in her voice shakes him to the core. He looks at Xiao Lian, his voice hesitant for the first time. "Big Sister, you can't borrow Xiao Fei like that. Look at her. She's shaking just at the thought of leaving me." Lu Fan quietly bends down and picks up a glowing blue stone from the ground. He gently places his hand on Xiao Fei's head. There is a fatherly tenderness in his touch. Then he says with a slight smile, "I won't lend you money. Don't be afraid. Just go. I will always be with you, no matter where you are." Wu Xiao Fei says nothing, her fear melting away for a moment. Her fists are still clutching Lu Fan's shirt, but a slight light returns to her eyes. The senior sister standing nearby sees all this and laughs lightly. "You are right. It really isn't easy to borrow Xiao Fei." Her laughter is neither warm nor sarcastic, only a genuine understanding. Andre, standing behind, nods slowly. "Yes, of course." He smiles. Fan paused for a moment, then raised his head and looked at the system. His eyes were serious. "Shadow Dragon's Breath." He mumbled, "Its drop rate is too low. That means we have to breed more monsters. A lot more." Just then, a glowing screen pops up in the air. System notification activated. Shadow Dragon King's contract is available. Use conditions. 3 consumables of legendary quality are required. Shadowstone Zudupi 3, Crystal 101 set obtained, Shadow Waterfall Water 50 points. Lu Fan reads the screen carefully, then whispers, "So, these are all the things needed to summon Shadow Dragon King Black. Contract features. The summoned Dragon King can be assigned to battle, maximum duration 60 minutes, use limit 3 times. Just then a heavy but warm voice comes from behind. Andre quietly puts his hand on Lu Fan's shoulder and asks with a smile, "Hey brother, what happened?" "It's too little. What are you talking about?" He pauses for a moment, then adds with a slight laugh, "If it's about demons, don't worry. They're coming. And in very large numbers." Lu Fan looks at him. Andre's smile is both mocking and confident. Lu Fan replies softly, "Okay then." He turns back to look at the others and nods slightly. "Let's go." Andre glanced around and said confidently, "It's all right. Don't delay any longer. Let's head in the direction of Shadow Spring." Lu Fan responded not with words, but with a swift action. He put 2 fingers in his mouth and let out a shrill, high-pitched whistle. The sound echoed through the air as if awakening some ancient magic. Then he pointed into the sky. Far away, Dragon Soul. His voice was steady, but there was fire within. "Don't just destroy these shadow swordsmen. Use the Divine Sun Lion to turn them into attribute points. Every drop counts." The Dragon Soul roared, an echo that shook the ground. Everyone's eyes focused on it. Senior Sister said softly, "Perhaps something big is about to begin." As a few figures appeared on the horizon, everyone's eyes became alert. The monsters had arrived, moving at a rapid pace, dust flying from their claws, and their eyes reflecting a thirst for blood. Lu Fan's entire group sprang into action in an instant. No orders were needed. It was the kind of coordination that is born of time and trust. Andre was the first to step forward, his voice booming. "Just as you said, someone has come to deliver the supplies again." The weapons in his hands glinted. "Now we will kill them and take what we need from them." Lu Fan was watching his back, but his attention was elsewhere. He immediately turned to Senior Sister, a slight hint of worry in his eyes. "Senior Sister, be careful with your injuries. I think you should rest this time. Andre and I will take care of everything." Senior Sister smiled. She was tired, but there was still fire in her eyes. "I'm fine," she said softly. "Xiao Fei is nearby. That's enough. If she's with me, nothing will happen to me." The battle lasted for 4 hours. The field was filled with dust, blood, and flames. Demon corpses were scattered all around. Andre smashed enemies like rocks with his heavy hammer. Lu Fan's divine bow pierced through 2 demons with a single arrow every time, and senior sister. Her spear art had become a dance of death. Xiao Fei, standing on a safe ledge, watched everything quietly, wonder and respect in her eyes. After 4 hours of continuous fighting, but eventually the last demon fell. Slowly, peace descended on the field. The air was still heavy, but it no longer smelled of danger, but a mixture of exhaustion and satisfaction. The system notification flashed. She noticed a Shadow Island Aura 1 has been obtained. Current Aura Point Shadow Island Level 1 unlocked. Lu Fan quietly picked up a black glowing stone in his palm. He swings it in the air, then looks at everyone and says, "Finally, now we are close to the central area." An awkward silence descends all around. This is not of exhaustion, but a precursor to a new turn. They all knew this was not the end yet. This was just the beginning. They had finally arrived at the place, Shadow Island. The sky was overcast, the sun was absent, and before them lay an old, ruined city, with countless graves scattered around it, as if some forgotten history was quietly sleeping there. Andrew stood still. His wide eyes widened in surprise at the sight of the city. "This place, it's really ancient and scary," he said softly. "There are graveyards everywhere, and the city gate, the ground isn't even visible, just stones and graves." There was an unnatural silence all around. Lu Fan took a few steps forward, then stopped and looked deeply at the city. "This looks like Zhang's city," he said in a serious tone. "But there's something different, something wrong." Senior sister glanced around. "There's no movement here," she whispered. "No monsters, no humans. It's like this city isn't even breathing. This is it." And Andre hurriedly pulled out an old, torn map from his bag and pointed to it. "Shadow Spring is in the middle of this ruined city." But Lu Fan's eyes were not on the map. He was feeling the air around him. Something unusual, heavy, and scorching. "There's something wrong here," he said softly. And then, a huge fireball appeared to fall down rapidly from the sky. The air began to heat up. The ground trembled. Everyone felt its heat and pressure deep into their bones. Fear suddenly flashed in Lu Fan's eyes. "Senior sister, move," she warned. But she was stunned for a moment, not able to understand where the danger was. Senior sister fell to one side, and the fireball hit her previous position. The ground crackled with a rumble. There was a huge explosion and a huge flame erupted, engulfing the entire environment. A few moments later, senior sister looks at Lu Fan, breathing heavily. "You saved my life," she says softly. Lu Fan doesn't look at her. "You don't need to thank me. If you want to thank someone, thank Xiao Fei." Lu Fan looked at Xiao Fei and bowed his head in thanks. Then he said in a serious tone, "This attack, it was a magical attack. It happened suddenly, without any warning. It really wasn't easy to react to it immediately." Andre coughed and tried to compose himself. His voice was both nervous and angry. "What happened? This explosion. What kind of explosion was this? Who did this?" Then he roared, "Come out. Whoever it is, come out." Without wasting a moment, Lu Fan sprang into action. His eyes suddenly became alert. He raised his hand, and a red aura burst out from his palm, slowly spreading out in all directions like a warning floating in the air. In a serious tone, he said, "There's something here. There must be demons here. We can't see them, but they're definitely there." His aura grew stronger. Or maybe, there's not just one, but several, many demons that are hiding. Lu Fan wasted no time in looking at Xiao Ji. There was no hesitation in his voice now, only a sharp tone of command. "Xiao Ji, activate the concept. We have to hunt them down." Xiao Ji listened to him, and in an instant, his eyes changed deep black and glowing. He transformed into his world-destroying form, red cracks flashing across his black skin. And then a terrifying roar echoed through the atmosphere. This was no ordinary roar. It was the proclamation of a concept. The concept he had activated had one characteristic. This black dragon could sense the presence of any hidden or sneaking enemy. His consciousness spread all around, like an invisible net. Now, no matter how hidden an enemy was, his breath, his presence were all exposed. As soon as Xiao Ji activated his connotation, a buzzing energy spread out. Something in the air felt like it was breaking, as if an invisible curtain had been ripped apart. And then all around, in the air, on the ground, in the trees, Demonic figures appeared one by one. Some had wings, some had claws, their eyes were like burning flames. It all happened so fast that everyone was stunned. The terrifying echoes and dark energy began to grow all around. Lu Fan's eyes widened. He said in a heavy voice, "No, this isn't just any normal attack. It seems that the level 95 elite master, Shadow Death Singer, is here." The air around felt heavier as he heard this name. Senior Sister stared for a moment, then said in a whisper, "This number, all of them. Look up at the sky, there are thousands of them." There was no longer surprise in his voice, but worry. In the sky above, hundreds, not thousands, of demonic shadows were flying, shattering the silence before a battle. At that moment, something flashes in the air. A status window appears in front of Lu Fan and Senior Sister, a mysterious screen flickering in the invisible sky, visible only to select people. The words slowly appear on it. An enemy information received Naim Shadow Death Singer, type Ancient Shadow Monster level, estimated level 95 Elite Master class, status feature. If it is not attacked for 10 seconds, it automatically enters stealth mode. It is extremely difficult to detect while in stealth mode. Main power. The prime dirge, an ancient melody that is sung and whose vibrations disturb the consciousness of all enemies. Targets within a 10-meter radius are confused by shadow magic with a high probability. A shadow magic energy stored ball is fired towards the east at the confused targets. The ball deals a massive amount of shadow damage and adds a slow effect as well. Lu Fan looked out the window, his brow furrowed. This is no ordinary monster. It is adept at thinking and hiding. And when it starts singing, it wreaks havoc. Senior Sister said softly, "We have to do something before it starts its song." Just then, Lu Fan raised his hand to signal everyone to stop. "Wait a moment." His voice was calm, but there was some warning inside. Suddenly, the ground began to shake slightly. Particles began to scatter. Something heavy was moving from beneath the earth. Lu Hai's gaze focused on the ground. "Down there. Something is moving." His voice became heavy. "There's something hidden underground." Senior Sister immediately activated her spear. Her eyes became sharp, and she thought to herself, "Is this the real boss? Have we just seen the beginning yet?" Lu Fan understood everything. His eyes were no longer just on the surface. These are not ordinary monsters that can be defeated with just strength. He muttered, "Jiao Ji!" He called out. Jiao Ji immediately came forward. His black glowing eyes glowed red again. He activated perception once again, and at that very moment the ground seemed to split open. Dust flew up, and a terrifying figure emerged from it. The monster looked strange, neither completely a monster nor a beast. It had fine thorns on its body, its skin looked like pale ash. Lu Fan looked at it and was speechless for a moment. It hides underground. Its level is lower than the Shadow Death Singer, but its skill, it is beyond recognition. Andre's eyes widened. He took a step back and said, "What do you mean? Does that mean it can target us at any time without warning?" Then Senior Sister slowly stepped forward. There was no hesitation in her eyes anymore, only determination and decision. "In this case," she said in a clear voice, "Andre and I will keep an eye on the movements of these demons. We must not let them scatter." She turned to Lu Fan. "Why must eliminate these Shadow Death Singers as soon as possible? Only then can we safely enter our territory." Lu Fan nodded deeply. "Senior Sister, you are absolutely right. The time has come. We must eliminate them here." The wind died down for a few moments, and then Senior Sister and Andre stepped forward together. They both leaped upward with all their might, making a long, precise leap into the air, straight towards the demonic horde, where the mist of shadow and death loomed. Just then, when the battle had already begun in the air and the ground was still shaking, Xiaoji's gaze suddenly focused on a point. His movement stopped, and he slowly removed the top layer of soil with his claws. There was something hidden in the wall. Lu Fan noticed it. He immediately ran down to the ground and approached Xiao Fai. "What did you find?" he asked in a serious tone. Xiaoji tilted his head, and there, within the soil, lay an old, burnt letter. Lu Fan carefully picked it up. As he opened the letters glowed on their own, as if an ancient language had recognized it. After reading for a few moments, Lu Fan's eyes lit up. "This is a mission," he said in a low but clear voice. "This time our goal is to find the boss, who has been hiding in the shadows all this time." He folds the letter carefully and keeps it with him, then looks at Xiaoji. A light smile appears on his face. Once again, you helped me find the mission Xiaoji. This chapter ends here. Subscribe to the channel to watch the next chapter. Do press the bell so that you can be the first to watch our upcoming videos. As soon as Lu Fan received the mysterious sealed letter in his hands, his eyes froze for a moment. He muttered to himself, "Shadow Digger, if this is the mission, then he must be put to an end. The reward can be talked about later, but learning to enter the darkness first." A new notification popped up in the status window, Mission Completion Reward Shadow, Piercing Dagger. Lu Fan squinted, a faint smile appearing on his lips. The reward was certain, but the path was not. At that moment, there was a commotion in the sky. A bright light pierced through the clouds and headed towards the ground. Senior Sister's eyes were not fear, but warning. She immediately turned to Lu Fan and said in a loud voice, "Be careful. Something is coming." Without wasting a moment, Lu Fan drew out his dragon sword. His eyes shone with determination. Enroll, the effect of the dragon bloodline, had been activated. All skills were now bursting out with twice the intensity. Taking a deep breath, Lu Fan activated his skill Wind Slashing Dragon Strike. This was no ordinary attack, it was a double slash wrapped in dragon energy, with his dragon pet powering him up as well. The sword swirled in the air, and a storm erupted, as if the curtains of the sky had been ripped apart. Senior Sister was standing at a distance, watching this scene. There was a light smile in her eyes, a mixture of satisfaction and pride. Even a level 95 skill can't stand this in. Maybe we all underestimated Lu Fan all this time. Is not ordinary. Meanwhile, Andre shouted, "Lu Fan! The excavator is too far away. We can't wait." Lu Fan didn't say anything. He simply closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and said in a calm voice, "The right time has come," and Lu Fan leapt into the air, his dragon sword glinting in the sunlight. "Xiaoji, prepare for the world-destroying roar." His voice echoed across the sky like an apocal proclamation. Xiaoji spread his wings across the sky and lightning flashed in his eyes. Ordered, he roared, and ancient dragon energy rippled around his body. A terrifying power had awakened. At that moment, Xiaoji called out to Xiaofei, cast the emerald blessing upon the fallen sacred dragon Xiao. Xiaofei bowed her head, and emerald like radiance flowed from her claws and onto Xiao's body. Sacredness and anger burst forth simultaneously. The summoned dragons rose up, tearing through the air. The influence of the dragon bloodline had now doubled their power. They roared together, loud, deafening, and shaking the very soul of the earth. As Lu Fan activated the mirror projection, 8 black dragons appeared in the sky, each one made of shadows and flames, a living symbol of fear. They circled in the air, as if a dance of death was about to begin. Attack all at once. Lu Fan's tone was serious, but it had the firmness of a command. The dragons froze for a moment, then charged forward at lightning speed. Andre, watching this scene from afar, his eyes widened in surprise. "Wow, so many dragons," he mumbled, as if unable to believe his eyes. Then his voice became graver. "Send these demons where they belong, to their tombs." On the other hand, Xiaoji, who was now flying, drew from his lungs a power that was impossible to put into words. An ancient, apocalyptic roar. Its voice ripped through the earth, and all the demons were drawn in that direction, as if the roar were calling out to their souls. The dragon's roar of destruction wasn't just a sound, it was a blow. All demons within range were heavily damaged. Now the summoned dragons activate the dragon attack shield. This is no ordinary defense. It wraps itself around the monstrous energy of fallen corpses, and then launches it towards the enemy like a dark spear. With each strike, a demon rises into the air, and is ripped apart and destroyed. Several demons are swallowed straight by the dragon, their bodies turning into burning steam. Andre's eyes lit up at the sight. "Great, brother, this is real cleaning," he shouted. "More than 10 demons are dying every second. Can't believe we're cleaning them up so fast." On the other hand, Senior Sister looked up to the sky. In her hand was a spear glowing with energy. After a moment of silence, she threw the spear with full force, and it flew like a lightning rod, not like a spear. All the demons that crossed his path were consumed instantly. "The digger is coming," he whispered. "But can we really stop it?" Lu Fan was now fed up. His sword was no longer vibrating with fatigue, but with annoyance. He looked around at the scattered demons, then swung his sword towards the sky. "That's enough," he said coldly. "Now, it's time to wipe them out in one fell swoop." Lu Fan didn't waste any time. He raised his dragon sword and activated the wind-breaking power. The power that was directly connected to the dragon's soul. Once, then twice. The waves released from the sword in both attacks ripped through the air, and the ranks of demons were torn apart. At the same time, as this skill was activated, Lu Fan's pet dragon reacted as well. 2 automatic claws connected to the dragon's soul appeared and attacked at full speed. The dragon's heavy, glowing claws crushed the demons as if they were clay statues. Andre was stunned by this sight. "Wow, that cleared up so quickly," he said in amazement. "I didn't expect it to be over so fast." But instead of joy, Senior Sister's eyes reflected something else, an unspoken fear. She said in a low voice, "Don't be too surprised now. Maybe he is coming now, the real boss." Suddenly, the ground began to shake. First a slight tremor, then as if some huge creature was running through the veins of the earth. Dust began to fly, cracks began to appear in the ground. A heavy, terrifying energy was now rising towards the surface. The tension on Senior Sister's face was clear. She took a deep breath and whispered in a low voice, "It is him. I recognize his presence." But then, the monster ripped through the ground and appeared in front of them. The earth cracked, rocks crumbled, and clouds of dust scattered into the air. The figure emerged slowly, but its shape it was unusual. It didn't look like a human, nor an animal. Its skin was as hard as iron, but cracked like decayed clay. Or maybe the shape was so variable that it was impossible to count. It was as if it had burst out of another dimension. As soon as it came out, it let out a terrifying scream. It wasn't pain, it wasn't anger, it was like a warning scream. A vibration resonated in everyone's chest, as if something inside them had shaken. The system window fluttered open. Name Shadow Digger level 90 skill unknown Lu Fan Senior Sister and Andra all fell silent for a moment. A strange sense of uneasiness seemed to spread all around. But then he did something, a reaction, that surprised everyone. Strange vibrations emanated from his body, and his figure blurred in an instant. He neither attacked nor defended. He just shrank in one motion and then expanded. No one could understand what he was about to do. The next moment, the demon, Shadow Digger, activates its secret power. It digs a hole in the ground and then lies in it in a very strange way. Its body shakes slowly, like a liquid creature being sucked into a shell. Suddenly, the air becomes heavy. The shadows all around seem to be drawn into the hole. Mist, foul smell, and strange energy wrap around its body. Its skin begins to change. It is no longer flesh, it is becoming something else. Lu Fan figures out his skill. Shadow Digger has activated the power off. From Ski Pupa. Effect all shadows will be absorbed. The transformation into Pupa mode continues. Rejuvenation begins. Senior Sister's eyes widen. It is absorbing everything. And look, there is something going on underground. Andre looked around as well. Graves. There are so many graves here. Sweat broke out on Lu Fan's forehead. He stuck his sword into the ground and thought to himself, "It's evolving into a pupa, and before it comes out, it will call back all the zombies." The ground around was shaking now. Small cracks were opening up, and blue-black energy began to rise from those cracks. Every single grave was shaking now, as if someone was knocking them from the inside. The team stood stunned. No one could understand what form this evolution would take. But one thing was now clear. Whatever was going to come out of the pupa, it probably wouldn't be the same as before. But just then, the earth shook again. The cracks deepened, and strange, terrifying creatures began to emerge from those cracks. They were not like any normal monsters. They were large and bulky in size. Clutches of flesh were hanging from their bodies. Some had eyes growing in some places. Some had one large eye, some had none at all. The status window blinked open. Name, Walker level 85 status, resurrected from the dead, who summoned Shadow Digger. When Senior Sister saw this, her face turned pale. But before they could think of anything, new cracks opened. Now some more terrifying figures began to tear the ground apart and emerge. The aura of these monsters was much heavier and more ferocious than the rest. The system warned a name Ni, Terrible One Quartet, level 90 status active for a limited time number. Countless. Andre was stunned. There are more of them. What do we do? So many. Lu Fan's eyes darted around rapidly. Senior Sister frantically attacked one of the demons with her spear. The tip pierced the demon's eye. The demon shrieked and retreated, but more came closer. My God, senior sister said in disgust. They are so disgusting. Luckily, they are still in uniform. So that means the boss hasn't arrived yet. Lu Fan didn't pause for a moment longer. She readied the wind, breaking power again, and looked into the darkness. Her eyes were now cold and steady. There's nothing to be done, she said in a deep voice. Now we just have to kill them. Lu Fan roared, his voice trembling with anger. Xiao Ji, get ready to burn all those demons. With his words, Xiao Ji's body began to change rapidly. In an instant, she transformed into a giant black dragon. Red flames danced in her eyes and embers flowed from her wings. She had now become the destructive dragon. Flames swirled around her as she roared into the sky. She was now furious, becoming Lu Fan's fire. Lu Fan immediately gave the next command. Xiao Fei, transform, activate soul protection. Xiao Fei closed her eyes without delay, and her body began to radiate into a dazzling light. She became the Solo Light, a protector ready to protect the entire group from physical and mental trauma. Now Lu Fan's plan was in full action. On one side, Xiao Ji's attacking fire, on the other side, Xiao Fei's protective shield. Xiao Ji released his destructive power, a roar, a shaking sky, and then an explosion. The fire was lava-like and scattered across the area. Everything in the way, trees, soil, monsters, was reduced to ash. Andre was completely stunned by this sight. His eyes widened and his lips quivered. Great, I thought we would lose now. But Lu Fan, he really is a strategic monster. Suddenly the earth trembled. A deep, terrifying echo resounded. Senior sister looked away and pointed. Look, there's movement at the excavation site. Everyone's eyes were now in that direction. Where the pupa had been sleeping before, something was now moving, something was about to come out. And this was probably the boss, whom no one had waited for, nor was anyone prepared. Damage reduction, recovery feature, and continuous summoning. Andre's scream echoed across the field. This is not good at all. His face was filled with fear and uneasiness. The entire battlefield was now shrouded in a miasma haze. Black, sticky shadows were appearing every 2 or 3 seconds, sometimes demonic figures, sometimes rotten zombies, as if the darkness was expanding itself. But then a strange tremor spread. The ground shook once again. Lu Fan immediately looked around and said in a firm voice, "Everyone be careful. The real boss is about to arrive." The status window flashed. Countdown begins. 3, 2, 1, and then miasma pupa is ready. An eerie silence fell. Just then Crero, a purple feather, came out, tearing through the earth. All eyes turned in that direction. Then another feather, then a long, heavy roar, and then he came out. A giant purple dragon. His body was full of wounds, but a purple glow flowed over it. His eyes had the coldness of death and the pride of rebirth. He slowly stood up fully on the ground, vibrating the earth with his heavy feet. Then he raised his neck, took a deep breath, and said in a thunderous voice, "I have been resurrected." As the purple shadow dragon fully appeared on the ground, the status window flashed. Everyone had their eyes on it because only time and fate will decide who will survive. V status Shadow Dragon, level on 95, name Shadow Dragon, formless fear, primary abilities 1. Night form, the dragon will enter battle in human form. All attacks inflict physical shadow damage. Spiritual attributes, a 25% 2 dragon form, the dragon will go into full dragon form. All attacks inflict physical, magical damage. Strength attributes, 25% 3. Shadow Me Today, passive, when the dragon's HP reaches below 25%, it draws shadow energy, absorbs health from all nearby enemies. Senior sister's eyes widened. He can transform. Andre bit his lip, and when he's injured, he'll be even more dangerous. Lu Fan gripped his sword tightly. That means we have to kill him in one go, or else he'll slowly kill us. Shadow Dragon took a deep breath. Andre's eyes widened. His breathing became faster. This is not the transition stage, he whispered, as if the truth was hard to accept. This is the real master, the general of Maya's mother pupa, Shadow Dragon, its true form. Lu Fan looked at her quietly, a question in her eyes. What to do now? Senior sister was stunned. There was no fear in her eyes, just a deep seriousness, saying there was no turning back. Lu Fan raised his sword. Layers of mist passed around him. There was no doubt in his eyes anymore. There's nothing to do, just go ahead and kill him. There was no panic or arrogance in his words, only solid conviction. The roar of the dragons echoed again. The shadow dragon stood still in place, as if it had accepted the challenge. Lu Fan raised his hand to the sky. There was a vibration in his fist, not just of power, but of emotion. "Whoa," he mumbled, as if realizing the gravity of the moment himself. In the next moment, lightning began to flow from his eyes. Bao Bao manifested not one, hundreds of current lines which began to spread out through his body in all directions. The ground, the air, the sky, all trembled with that energy. Thunder fever, his most dangerous power. As soon as this power was activated, the effect of the thunder jet changed to world-destroying thunder. Now there was a bright yellow jet in his hand, and his thunder jet power was blazing. This was the power that took all the blue dragon skills to the extreme. Each time he released a lightning spell, a different lightning bolt would strike the target. And when an enemy entered the range of his magic, they would be burned by that wall of lightning. Lu Fan took a look at his comrades. His voice was strong, controlled and decisive. Safesi, protect senior sister and Andra. Emerald mirror projection was instantly cast on both Xiao Fei and Xiao Hai. A glowing green shield formed around them, capable of protecting them from shadows and magical attacks. Now Lu Fan was ready. Behind him were layers of lightning, and in front, the Shadow Dragon General. There was no hesitation in Lu Fan's eyes anymore. He knew if it wasn't stopped now, this Shadow Dragon would become even more powerful. And then it might be too late. We have to finish it off once and for all, he felt deep inside, as if his soul warned him. The next moment, the two dragons, Xiaoji and Xiaofei, split into numerous copies. Like waves in the ocean, they spread out in all directions, heading towards the same target from every direction. Lu Fan doesn't delay any longer. He takes the dragon's sword and leaps high into the air. Lightning flashes around him, and his heart says only one thing. He screams with all his might, "Attack together! Finish them!" Suddenly, the blue lightning bolts and the burning flames of the black dragon burst simultaneously at the shadow dragon. For a moment, the entire area is filled with light and flame. The shadow dragon, who had seemed invincible until now, is now invincible. Destroyed in a single blow. How is that possible? He screamed, "I was immortal, But before he could say anything else, there was a massive explosion, and he was completely destroyed. The smoke cleared, and Lu Fan stood alone with his dragon sword. Behind him was a burning field, and in front of him, a new future. He took a deep breath and said, "Now we can safely enter this ruined city." Then the status window appeared. Lu Fan's level 46 off Black Dragon's level 45. This chapter ends here. Please subscribe to the channel and press the bell button to watch the next chapter. The shadow dragon was now dead. Its huge body fell to the ground soundlessly, like the end of an era. Lu Fan held his breath for a moment. He had killed the shadow dragon in one fell swoop. A blue light pierced the darkness around him, and the status window appeared. Our Xiao Fei has obtained a new skill. Lu Fan's eyes lit up. He read the window silently, a rare shade of satisfaction forming on his lips. This was no ordinary skill. It was a shield. A defense that not only reduces damage but remains unbreakable for 5 minutes. The most shocking thing, immune to debuffs. Based on Xiao Fei's features, this skill was truly extraordinary. The biggest benefit was that there was no longer the need to repeatedly refill emerald light to resist miasma. It was like a permanent solution, a shield that not only protected, but also eliminated the dependency on energy. For this reason, this skill was extremely valuable to Xiao Fei, a boon that granted stability to both his existence and power. At that moment, Lu Fan's gaze falls on Xiao Fei. His voice is cold and steady. Release Guardian Flow. At the command, Xiao Fei activates Guardian Flow without hesitation. In an instant, a light, mysterious green energy bursts out of his body, quickly spreading out towards the entire group. As the energy touches everyone, an amazing transformation occurs. All the warriors come under the effect. Their bodies feel light, as if an invisible shield is holding them up. There is wonder in their eyes, as if they have touched a miracle. Andre was speechless for a few moments, then his eyes lit up and he whispered, "Lu Fan has found a new skill." His voice was filled with surprise, but also with hope, as if he believed for the first time that they could really get out of this darkness. Senior sister nodded with a light smile. "This skill doesn't just reduce damage," she said. "It's strengthening us from within. I can feel it as if an invisible shield has held us up." Andre spoke excitedly. "Lu Fan." He mumbled, then softly said, Really, the mist from Shadow Island doesn't affect me anymore." His eyes welled up with tears. Now the dead shadow dragon was still lying on the ground, lifeless. But its huge body was still emitting poisonous gases at a slow rate, as if its death had not completely subsided. Senior sister looked at Lu Fan and said, "In that case, Lu Fan, we will help you gather the materials. The sacred dragon can decompose the bones of its own summons or pets and absorb them into itself. Their remaining life force, their experiences, now become part of its power. About 1% of the total attributes. A percentage that can make the difference between life and death on the battlefield." Andre looked at the dragons with deep eyes, then said in a calm voice, "It's no problem. When those two dragons have fully absorbed those corpses, their remaining material will become even more pure and exclusive." Senior sister was silent for a few moments. Perhaps she understood the value of that technique. "Okay, I'll go along." Her voice was firm, but Lu Fan was lost in his thoughts. There was something else going on right before his eyes. He was making a different plan in his mind. He was sure that with the help of his friends, the necessary materials would be gathered soon, so he didn't want to waste any more time worrying about that. Instead, his attention was focused on the dead dragon. Now that the bone dragon was about to swallow him, Lu Fan suddenly ordered it to stop. His voice was deep and stern. "Wait a moment." Upon hearing the order, the bone dragon immediately stopped and looked at Lu Fan in surprise. Lu Fan had a different plan in mind for the shadow dragon. He knew that the shadow dragon was indeed extremely powerful. And then, at that very moment, he took the next step, preventing the bone dragon from being absorbed. Next, he decided to turn the level 95 hidden boss into a fallen corpse puppet. As Lu Fan slowly moved his hand, a bright, glowing light burst out from his hand. The light radiated a supernatural energy, piercing the darkness around it. And the next moment, the shadow dragon's dead shadow came alive. His huge eyes glowed, as if he had returned to the depths of life again. But this time he was not just a monster. He was now Lu Fan's slave. The shadow dragon immediately said in his heavy and resonant voice, "Master." That word carried the power of submission, the depth of respect. The shadow dragon accepted Lu Fan as his master without hesitation. A light smile spread across Lu Fan's lips. He couldn't hide the excitement rising within him. "Now I have 9 demons," he thought to himself, "the 5 national guardians, the god bone clone, and this shadow dragon general." He now had an unstoppable army, one that could challenge even 4th-level masters without hesitation. Once we have a strong fallen corpse puppet, his plan began to take shape. We will let the fallen corpse sacred dragon absorb the special powers of the 5 national guardians. Lu Fan was now completely satisfied. He slowly took out his letter, smiled at it, and said, "So let's see what reward I got for this quest." A status window suddenly opened in front of him. It read in glowing letters, "Order. Shadow Digger mission accomplished." At that moment, a magic box flew towards him and landed on the ground. The soft light emitting from the box made the atmosphere even more mysterious. The status window thanked Lu Fan and handed him a gift whose epic quality would leave anyone stunned. Lu Fan carefully opened the box. Suddenly, a scroll came out of it, the brilliance of which flashed in his eyes. Lu Fan's face lit up as he looked at the scroll. As soon as Lu Fan saw the scroll, Andre and senior sister immediately ran up to him. Andre asked curiously, "Hey brother, you received this gift. Do you think it's enough for you?" Lu Fan replied with a smile, "Yes, it's enough." Senior sister's eyes were also filled with joy. She said with a soft smile, "Lu Fan, I remember how great your spirit wings were. But reaching legendary quality, that would be a really big step up. Upgrading would definitely be a good choice." Andre looked at Lu Fan with a slightly surprised and respectful voice and said, "Brother, you really are quite lucky." Without wasting a moment, Lu Fan spread out his wings, which were previously pure white, and acknowledged senior sister's words, "Senior, you are absolutely right." Then he took the scroll in his hand and attached it to his wings. As soon as it was activated, his wings turned red and lava flames danced around them. A strong surge of warmth and energy was felt. Lu Fan understood that this upgrade was a chance to take the mobility and power of his spirit wings to a new level. Senior sister could not hold back her emotions and said with a smile, "Lu Fan, you look more handsome than ever." The effects of the magic scroll made Lu Fan feel lighter and faster. His flying ability was also greatly improved. He could now fly even faster through the air. This scroll wasn't just a normal gift, its main feature was extremely special. The power required to activate this magical scroll was 100 loving levels of the Dragon King. This was Allah's legendary quality scroll, a rare and priceless treasure in itself. The scroll's enchantment attributes were as follows: level elimination for agility, 356, strength 291, spirit 246, stamina 234 when someone wore it. All of their attributes would increase by 20% while flying. And in terms of high flight, this scroll granted the wearer extraordinary flying abilities, as well as increasing their flight speed by several times. Lu Fan smiled to himself. Since my skills have improved now, this is a great advantage for me. He further explained his plan, then spread his wings fully and charged forward into the air. Both Xiaofei and Xiaoji were amazed at his amazing speed. Lu Fan was now flying far ahead of everyone, and as he flew, he turned back and said, "Let's head to the palace in the center of the ruined city. From there, we must find Shadow Waterfall." But then Bao Bao, who was known for his speed, angrily said, "You're flying faster than me! Do you want to compete with me?" His voice was full of challenge, and everyone's eyes were now fixed on Bao Bao and Lu Fan. As Lu Fan rose up in the air and overtook everyone, Andre pointed at him and said loudly, "Brother, wait for us too." Senior sister, who was flying behind, suddenly frowned. She felt something strange in the air. She warned everyone be alert. And then a mysterious, trembling voice echoed in the air, "Help." Lu Fan's face became serious. Who could it be? This voice is coming from an invisible source. He thought to himself, is this a magical message? But it sounds like Senior Sister's voice. Senior Sister's face was also confused. Then the voice echoed again, "Help, help, please." Andre looked around and said, "Where is this voice coming from? Is it coming from beneath the palace?" Lu Fan looked at Senior Sister. For a moment, he thought she was the one speaking. But Senior Sister looked at him in surprise and said, "Why are you guys looking at me like that?" "That's not my voice!" Everyone now had an unspoken curiosity on their faces. Voices were in the air, but the source was nowhere to be seen. Lu Fan decided without delay, we must get to the source of this voice. This is no ordinary call. Everyone immediately descended to the ground of the ruined city with him. This was the ancient palace of the ruined city, a forgotten place that was once the center of the 100 Islands. As they approached the silent palace, the air thickened and the voice sounded even clearer. "Can you hear me?" Everyone was stunned. It was no illusion. The call was now resonating through the air, clear, intense, and alive. Lu Fan stepped forward, but then Xiaofei held his hand tightly. She looked at him innocently. Lu Fan looked into her eyes. There was a strange seriousness in that innocent trust. And then, a figure slowly walked out from behind the cracks in a broken wall and pillars. His face was slowly revealed in the dusty light. Old but powerful, his eyes reflected 100 years of waiting. He said in a deep voice, 300 years. Finally, the hero who has fulfilled the reward order has arrived. Then he slowly raised his hand and looked at everyone. Please, don't panic. But just as the old man finishes his words, Bao Bao, who has always been ready to fight, suddenly leaps forward. His eyes are glowing with suspicious energy. He lunges at the old man. The old man's eyes widen. He jumps back in shock and tries to hide behind the broken wall in fear. "Oh no, the dragon is coming. Help, help." His voice is full of panic, as if death is staring him in the face again after years of captivity. But then, thud, a powerful punch lands on Bao Bao's face. Xiaoji pulls him back without a second thought. But Lu Fan's sharp eyes are fixed on both of them. He took a step forward, bent towards Bao Bao and said in a resonant voice, "Shut up for a while and stop causing unnecessary trouble." Bao Bao pursed his lips in anger but said nothing. The air around him became still once again. The old man was now peeking out from behind the wall. Andre looked at the old figure and frowned. As that the old ghost speaking. Senior Sister scanned the surrounding area. The situation doesn't look dangerous right now, but we can't be complacent. Lu Fan took a step forward. His face was reserved, but his voice was authoritative. "You were the one who called us, right? Tell me, how can we help you?" Slowly, the old man came out from behind the wall. His gait was tired, but his eyes were full of history. He took a deep breath and said in a low voice, "Yes, you are the hero who completed the reward order. Please forgive me for my reaction earlier. This place, now only called ruins, was once a living island. I was a courtier of the Tianwu Empire's palace. Everyone was shocked. Andre whispered quarter. Alive for so many years. The old man bowed his head and said, in the final hour of the Tianwu Empire, he sacrificed his life to protect a divine energy source, Fuguangquan. The old man's voice trembled. His eyes reflected the burden of 300 years. 300 years ago, he began with a choked voice. One day the sky turned dark, and a giant black dragon, cursed and full of infinite power, landed on was silent. Everyone was silent. Lu Fan's senior sister, Andre, everyone held their breath, was no ordinary demon. He was a messenger of darkness, a curse that fell upon the three kingdoms. His magic disabled the gods. He contaminated our spring, Fuguangquan, once the source of light and life, with poisonous darkness. The old man groaned and bowed his head. That dragon corrupted my king as well. Her voice echoed, laced with pain and pleading, Harrow. I beg you, free my king from this curse. Rest his soul, end the suffering of our people, and restore this wretched island, once a haven for the gods. There was silence all around. An uncomfortable silence fell over the old man's words. Everyone stood in their place. Are we the first? Andre's voice was soft, but his surprise was evident. Are we the first people to reach this place in 300 years? Senior sister nodded slowly. Her eyes were fixed on the old man, as if she couldn't ignore the truth, what he said. If it's true, then... She paused for a moment, then said, the shadow fountain we're looking for is probably hidden with this corrupt king. He's the protector of it. Andre immediately looked at Lu Fan. Brother, what are you thinking? But Lu Fan was lost in thought. His eyes were looking at the shadows of the old palace across the cracks in the broken wall. As soon as the old courtier finished speaking, the air suddenly vibrated. A crack opened in the sky, and at that moment a status window appeared in front of Lu Fan and his team. Her new quest activated mission name. Request to the court grandmaster, mission area Tianyu, mission rank S-Fuss, special disaster category, description 300 years ago. When storms broke the boundaries of the sea, the black dragon Maojima attacked Tianyu. Her shadow magic turned the entire island into deadland. Objectives: defeat the Shadow Dragon King, free the restless spirits, purify the Fuguangquan water, return the island to its original state, rewards Tianfu Island area. Lu Fan was still staring at the status window, the thought echoing in his mind. Tianfu Island will be mine now. A slight smile formed on his lips as he thought this, but at that very moment, tuk, the sound of heavy footsteps echoed on the stones. The team was alerted. Senior sister immediately prepared a magic arrow. Andre extended his shield, and Babao raised his paws in the air. The old man's scream broke through the silence of the palace. My king is coming! My king is coming. Look, and Lu Fan immediately turned to the direction from which a strange figure was slowly approaching. Its shadow was black and huge, and its presence caused the surrounding air to thicken. Just then, a low, resonating voice spread through every corner of the palace. Please restore Tianfu Island, and let us rest in peace. Arsendre and senior sister stood up in unison. Senior sister made a stern gesture. It's getting close. Everyone get ready to fight. Andre clenched his fists and said, no worries, we're close to Shadow Spring. But then his voice echoed once more. Shadow Dragon King level. 95 type Shadow Battle Dragon features miasma spreading. When the black dragon spreads miasma, it attacks. But it is impossible to see the Shadow Dragon in this state. Death punishment strikes with a giant sword, inflicting 40-90% shadow damage on the target. This attack is so deadly that the target cannot escape. Cooldown 90 seconds. Dragon Man Roar reduces enemy attributes with a dragon roar. Controls enemy minds using human voices. Lu Fan's eyes grew intense as he read all of this. 95 level hidden boss. This is the biggest threat we've ever faced, he said inwardly. This Shadow King in front of him was an enemy that could be fatal to himself and his team if taken lightly. We have to be fully prepared for every eventuality, Lu Fan said firmly. Senior sister and Andre looked at him, seriousness evident on their faces.